Hello, 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 and welcome back to March Payne's Midlife Dolly Crisis. And today we're going to be opening this doll here. So you would have seen this doll very briefly shown in my roundup of dolls I bought in 2025. And this particular doll is Sadly Plaid, or Sadly Plaid. I don't know how you pronounce it anymore. I could say it over and over again. It's like scone and scone. Which is it? I can't even remember anymore. Anyway, that's the doll we're going to open today. We are only a few days away from Burns Night, which is traditionally celebrated on the 25th of January. Obviously Burns Night celebrates the Scottish poet Robert Burns, or Robbie Burns. So I thought this doll would be a good one to open now because, as you might remember, she is wearing tartan. I'm not going to be piping the doll on, which is traditionally what you would do with the guests at a Burns Night event, or indeed the haggis itself. So look, let's get the lid off her and we can have a look. Now, as I mentioned, she does come in a kind of a tartan dress. However, I did try to look up and see if this was a genuine tartan, and I couldn't really find any information. I only had a very quick look. You might recognise it when you see it. I don't even know if it's actual tartan. It just looks tartan, but I don't know if it actually is officially a tartan because it doesn't seem to have the kind of bits that come down properly. It's got a few bits, but not. It seems like there's more sort of panes in real tartan, if you know what I mean. This one just seems to go round rather than sort of down as well. So look, I'm going to basically just get her out of the box now. These dolls are pretty easy to get out, so I'm not going to be sort of taking her off to do. I'm just going to do it. We just have some stuff to untie. I mean, I'm presuming she's possibly been out of a box before now. But she's still got the thing around her neck as well. I'm hoping for no stainage, because she does have a lot of black involved in her outfit. Okay. Oh, there we go. The wig's come off. Let's put this back on her now. Oh, she's got kind of, I don't know what this is on her head. So yeah, so I don't know if they've tried to possibly sort of glue this onto her head at some point. It's a little bit strange. It looks like something was there, maybe. Maybe it was some kind of adhesive or something, and it was kind of stuck to her head. This is an older doll, so I don't know if that's what they kind of did with these dolls, possibly. Or whether she had a wig cap on and that kind of disintegrated a bit. But yeah, that's very strange. Her head seems like an odd shape, but maybe they are all odd shapes. And she seems to have hair kind of stuck to this, which does make me think that maybe some kind of adhesive was used at some point. I may have to get her a wig cap, to be honest, because I don't know if the wig's going to want to stick to this. I'm not even sure if this stuff can be scratched off, possibly, or just maybe she could do with a bit of a wash. I will have a closer look at that. We have got some markings here. So this is from 2007. This is 2006 on the back of her head here. And we've got Tonna on there. I can't quite read what the rest of it says. But yeah, so she is a Tonna doll. If I hadn't mentioned that already. She's a Robert Tonna doll. There's also, looks like PM and then a dash and then I think a number 1. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is. So that's a bit odd. Look, I might get her wig back on because it seems a bit unfair showing her like this. And then we'll have a look at her face and everything. Okay, so I'm bringing her face very close to the camera because the camera seems to not want to focus on much today, which is, you know, I can't blame it. It's, you know, it's seen a lot, this poor camera. Seen a lot of dolls. So her face is very nice. The wig is intriguing, but we'll have a look at that closer in a second. So she has got sort of, I say brown or sort of tawny eyes, which is quite nice, as I don't actually have an Ellowyne with kind of brown eyes. She's got this very kind of nice sort of red lipstick. She does have some blushing by the looks of it as well, and she does have some eye makeup. The eye makeup looks kind of grey, I think, and then above that, a sort of eyeshadow, that looks a bit sort of pinky or browny. And she does have kind of black eyelashes by the looks of it, but she's also got black eyebrows as well there. She doesn't have actual physical eyelashes. When I say physical eyelashes, I mean she doesn't have the kind of the real eyelashes that they sometimes glue on. She's just got them sort of drawn on there. Let's talk about the wig now. The wig is quite interesting. It might need something doing to it because it seems very flat on the top and it's quite staticky as well. It would be nice if maybe I have to wash it or something. I don't know. I don't even know if I've got it on the right way. This could be the back of the wig and this could be the top of the wig, but it feels very like it's sort of brushed sort of forward, so I don't really know. I'm not really sure what I think of the wig now, to be honest. I was kind of excited about it because I really like the idea of a short dark wig for her, but I'm not necessarily sure if this one is working. Also, it seems to be slipping around her head, which I've not really had with the wigs before, and I don't know if it's because of this kind of thing that they've given her. I don't know, or maybe she needs kind of a wig cap or something, possibly. That might help. Maybe that was why they ended up putting this stuff on, to try and kind of keep the wig on, maybe. But actually, let me have a look inside the wig. See, I'm not really sure if I can see any evidence of it having been stuck to her head. I don't think so. It's kind of hard to tell, I think. But I certainly can't see anything that looks like adhesive. But yeah, so look, let's have a look at the rest of her, shall we? Okay, so she does come with this large kind of bonnet. So this is kind of like a tam o' shanter hat, I would say. And going back to Robert Burns, he did actually write a poem called Tam o' Shanter, which is where the name of the hat actually comes from, or the bonnet, or whatever you want to call it. So it would look better if she had hair. Let's try and put the hair on, and we'll put the hat on top. But there we go. So it is kind of an oversized hat, which they're meant to be. They're meant to be more like kind of a sort of an oversized bonnet, I suppose. There's something on the hat there. I'm not sure. Maybe that's glue that they'd used to put the wig on. Who knows at this point? This is turning into a disaster, isn't it? Well, look. So look, that's her with the hat on. Let's go down the body and have a look at the outfit. So she's got this kind of chain around her neck. I'm not sure if it would originally have been less sort of brassy looking. It might have looked more gold originally. She's got a pendant on the end of it, which is a heart-shaped one with a little stone in the top. It looks like it could open, because there is a kind of a hinge on it. I'd be concerned about doing it, but maybe I'll try. Okay, so you can actually open it. I don't know if you can see that. There's nothing inside it. You could obviously put a picture in there if you could find something small enough. It's really just for show, but let's close that up. So it does kind of just sort of clip in, which is quite nice. You just probably heard it click there. So that was it clipping closed. So that's quite a cute item. And that you could literally just kind of remove by taking it over her head. But there is also a clip at the back that you could undo to get it off as well. So she's got a few layers with this. So she's got this little, almost like a bolero jacket. It seems to be in a kind of a blue jean material, a thin version of denim, I suppose. That has got sort of braiding around it, around the front part, and also around the arms. And it's also got this sort of ruffle as well, which we'll kind of see more of when we take this off. There's no fastenings on this. It literally just kind of sits there. So look, let me remove this, and then we can have a closer look at her dress that she's wearing. So there you go. I just wanted to show you what the little jacket looked like off. So obviously we've got the black braiding all around the edge at the front and also around the arms, and we've also got this kind of like net sort of ruffle around the sleeves, and also again all the way around the kind of edges of the little jacket. And it's all sewn up quite nicely. It's not lined inside, you can kind of see the sort of material that you've got, but everything's sort of finished off quite well. So that's the little jacket there. So here she is in her dress. Now I have noticed something interesting. The sleeves are not attached to this, I don't think. Let me just open the back and just check. Yeah, so she has a bodysuit on under this, but let's have a look at the dress first. So it's got this kind of Regency line where basically the dress part starts underneath the bosom there. We have got some sort of black velvet tape kind of around the bust there, just underneath there, and we've also got it repeating itself along the bottom of the skirt part of the dress there. So we've obviously got sort of straps here. So this is all one piece, and then we've got this kind of voluminous skirt part to it, which is we've actually got a double skirt here. So we've got this very large kind of outer part here. So we've got pleating along the front here, kind of big pleats. And then at the bottom we've got this kind of frilly sort of pleating here at the bottom. This is kind of a separate piece they've added on. And then of course we've got the black velvet sort of trim in the middle of it there. That's very nice. So it's not finished off. It's not meant to be. It's meant to look a little bit kind of distressed, I suppose, on the ends there. If we have a look under this, we've then got a sort of a sewn-in petticoat. So this is kind of white, sort of silky material. Again, nicely finished off and everything. And then we've got another row of that kind of frilly pleating at the bottom there, which again is in the kind of the tartan. So it kind of looks like it's got a double layer. It's got a nice shape to it. I do kind of like the style of it. It's kind of a bit sort of like a baby doll dress as well at the same time. So that's that. So underneath this, so they've got plastic on here. I don't know if this is how she would have come. It feels like cling film. So I'm guessing it possibly isn't how it arrived. But look, I'm going to take the dress off and we'll have a look and see what this bodysuit looks like. Okay, so I've removed the dress. I've also removed the chain as well. I should have mentioned that she's got also a matching bracelet here, just on her wrist. Again, it's gone a kind of a brassy colour. I don't know if that is the colour it would have been originally. Possibly not. To take this off, I think... Oh no, we've got a clasp here. Let me remove this as well. Okay, I got a bit impatient with it. It was quite fiddly, so I just took the hand off. The hands do come out on these dolls. This one is very snug. I don't think she's been kind of changed out a lot, so that's good. She's also got a red manicure on her fingers, which is very nice. So look, let's have a look at this kind of bodysuit that she's got. So it's obviously this kind of black netting. On the arms, we've got these kind of ruffles that go all the way down on both sides. Underneath this, we've got what kind of looks like sort of a bit of a shimmery tan colour underneath. It almost looks a bit golden, but I don't know if it's meant to look golden or if it's just meant to look more like a kind of, you know how you get sort of tan tights or something, more like that kind of colour. So as I say, this is a bodysuit, so it goes all the way around like a kind of leotard. On the back we've got press studs. The dress had press studs as well, by the way, if I didn't mention that. So look, I might remove this as well, and we'll see if there's anything going on under here. I'm mainly kind of concerned about staining, only because, as you know, anything that's been on the doll for a long time, particularly if it's black, could potentially have stained her. But by the looks of it, they have kind of taken care to wrap, I think, cling film around her by the looks of it. Look, this might be fiddly. I'm going to remove the hands, take this off, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I removed the hands and I removed the bodysuit. So on the inside of the bodysuit, we've got, again, this kind of like golden shimmery material, which is good because it has protected her, I think. So also the person who had the doll before me also protected the doll by putting, I think it's cling film more than it being kind of actual sort of plastic. But yeah, so they basically cling filmed the body securely. So that's kind of good. It's kind of it's good that they actually did that. They had the foresight to do that. And obviously she was kind of boxed up again, so I guess maybe she was on display for a little bit and then she was just kind of put away. Let's have a look and see if we've been lucky enough to get away with staining on the legs as well. So further down we've got these kind of long socks here. So these are black, but again we've got a lining on the inside as well. We've also got these really cute little boots. They do feel sort of leatheretty, which is good. Hopefully the leather is okay, or the leatherette's okay. What can happen with this material over time is that it starts to kind of disintegrate really and perish. So so let's check that out. So it's basically a very kind of smooth leatherette, or whatever you want to call it. I don't think it is leather, but it looks very, very much like it is leather. It also covers the heel at the back there. The sole is just kind of a black, but again, that feels kind of leatherette. Maybe it is actual leather. It could be. It does feel like leather to me, to be honest. Around the top here, we've got more of that kind of black shiny ribbon braid. Just around the top there. And then obviously we've got a black lace all the way down at the front there as well. It's a very nice shoe actually. It didn't feel too bad getting it on and off either. So hopefully when we come to put it back on again, it won't be too annoying. Okay, so I've gone ahead and removed the second shoe. That was not a problem. So let's remove these little socks now, or big socks, and we'll see if we have any staining issues. They're on pretty tight, to be honest. I'm seeing a little bit of black on the back of the knee there. I'll be honest, I'm not sure these are going to go back on once they're removed, only because they do feel very kind of fitted. Okay, I think once you've kind of got them started off, they're kind of, I was going to say they're kind of okay, but they're not. So the legs on these dolls, although they're kind of a plastic, the kind of the calf bit here feels a bit more rubbery than anything else. She's lost her wig and a hat while I'm trying to do this, by the way. So just don't look at that bit. I want to be as delicate with this as I can be, because obviously this is kind of net really rather than anything else, but to be honest it feels pretty okay, and I am trying to be as gentle as possible. I'm going to remove the second one and then we'll have a closer look. Okay, so I've removed the second stocking or sock or whatever you want to call it. So there is a little bit of staining on the leg. I don't know if you can actually see there. If I move it round, you can maybe see just a little bit, just a few little spots. This does feel like a different kind of material to this. This feels more like a plastic, and this feels more like a rubber, which is interesting. But yeah, if you have a look, you can definitely kind of see some staining there. It isn't actually too bad. And obviously I tend to redress the dolls anyway, so you probably wouldn't particularly notice it that much. I know there are ways that you can actually try and get rid of this stuff. I actually don't know if it's worth me bothering, to be honest. I think I'd be worried about damaging the plastic or the rubber, only because you're basically putting chemicals on it, and I just don't know if it's really worth it. As you can also see, if I do that, actually, if I do that, you'll see it better. She does also have a pedicure. So yeah, she's got little red painted toenails there. Actually, if I bring this up, you can probably see the staining better. So there is obviously some sort of black spots and stuff on her feet. There's a bit more around the back there that you can kind of see. There's a bit there, a little bit on the heel. But yeah, all in all, not too bad at all, considering the fact that, you know, she's been wearing that outfit for, well, 9 years, maybe. Maybe not quite 9 years, in that I think they probably did take her out and redress her at one point, because obviously they managed to put this kind of plastic wrap around her body to protect that. Okay, so now that I've undressed her, I'm probably going to try and put this stuff back on her, and we'll have a final look at it together. So here we go. So here she is. She looks actually very nice from this angle, all dressed up. The wig obviously stays on if you don't move her. The hat is an odd choice, I think, only because a black hat with black hair, it all kind of gets a bit lost. So you might have thought maybe they would have changed the black hat to another colour, maybe something to match the sort of little bolero jacket that she's got on. Maybe have that in a blue as well to kind of, you know, tie things together. I should have also mentioned that she came with this kind of, I don't know, maybe like a little scarf. It's this kind of black thing. I've just literally tied it around her neck for now. It's sort of like a sort of a net or sort of chiffon type of material. I guess it kind of ties in a bit with the ruffles and things. It's kind of cute. Again, it's kind of black, so it sort of blends in a bit, but it's quite nice as it kind of stands there. I have not put her stockings back on. I was having all sorts of problems with them. So, yeah, that's not great. The boots were fine. I didn't have any issues kind of getting those on. They were easy enough to get back on her feet. But the stockings were no. And I thought, for all the problems I'm having, I'm probably not going to keep that on her anyway, only because I don't want to have more staining. So, yeah, that's kind of why they're not on her there. I also wanted to show you the fact that she came with this rather odd stand, because I've never had one of these stands with these dolls before. I've only ever had saddle stands. So I don't know if it's the age of the doll, maybe, but she's actually got this. Now, I'm presuming that this was originally with her. So it's basically got like a waist clip, a kind of a metal waist clip, which you can hopefully see there. I can't get it around her waist, so that's a bit of an issue. I guess maybe because of the size of her, this is meant to go a bit kind of lower, so it would probably go under the dress. I'm not sure about it. It doesn't seem to want to work that well, so I've had to borrow a stand that I already had, which is one of the kind of the saddle stands that you get with them now. She is actually a very pretty doll. Kind of looking at her now with all of her stuff on, she is really pretty. I love the style of her. I don't know if they were going for Scottish, so I'm sorry that I dragged Robert Burns into this. So I'm not sure if they were going for Scottish or a kind of Vivienne Westwood kind of 90s look. I really don't know. The hat to me looks a bit like a sort of Baker Boy hat rather than a tam o' shanter, but maybe it is meant to be a tam o' shanter. This was in 2007, so we'd come out of the 90s, obviously, but sometimes there's that kind of bit of an overlap between sort of fashion styles, between, you know, one decade and another. So maybe this was a throwback to kind of 90s fashion. The hair was also quite 90s as well, because it is that kind of short sort of pixie look, which was very big at the time, and, you know, with kind of like a fringe and stuff like that. So maybe that was... Maybe they were going for more of a sort of a punk Vivienne Westwood 90s look rather than, you know, something traditionally Scottish, which obviously it's not that traditional, is it? But just because she's wearing tartan doesn't mean, you know, she's from the Highlands or anything like that. Tartan has become a part of a lot of people's clothes now, you know, and obviously the whole red tartan, it is kind of quite punky as well. So maybe there's sort of a bit of that in there, particularly with the kind of the netting and, you know, the kind of the netting of the socks as well. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. I do really like her, despite the struggles, despite the slight staining. And despite the whole wig issue, I do actually really like her. She's a very pretty doll. I like the fact that her makeup seems quite different to some of the other ones that I've got. If you are celebrating Burns Night, I hope you have a very good one and you don't drink too much whiskey. But I guess, you know, if you're going to do it one night of the year, Burns Night is probably the night to do it. Remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. Share the video as well if you know anyone else would like this kind of content. And I will see you in the next one. So until then, take care. Bye.